explain why you want to reconsider
I'd like
this?
to make a motion to agendize reconsideration of the council action on the Park and Recreation Facilities Master Plan update.
Sure.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay.
Part of the discussion.
Okay.
And
Any
given the
discussion?
hour, I would just as soon have a vote and decide.
Well,
if
I
we're
think
gonna
we
do
have, everything is, we have an obligation to have discussion on.
All right.
on
This is
item.
an item that is actually on the council's goals and objectives for 2004-06. It's in our goal for parks and parks and recreation. I think it's number 4.6 or 4.5. Staff presented to us a report on how they would like to proceed to do the master plan update. We talked about it at length, and we were stymied at 2-2, and we voted to not take action on that item at the time we had the meeting. As one of the people who voted to not take action at that night, I would like to ask for the council.
No,
to
actually, it was
consider
3-2. You had voted
right.
not
3-1.
3-1.
in order, presumably in order that you could then bring it back, right?
I voted because the motion was, if you remember the motion that you made,
Right.
what was that motion?
It was to take no action on this item.
That night.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I voted to take no action on it that
No,
night.
it was just to take no action on it. It didn't say that
Well,
night.
I'm asking for it to be reconsidered because it's an essential part of our work.
Okay.
Can I speak to this?
You can speak to it, sure.
This is an RFP. It's a request for proposals. It's not an adoption of a proposal. It's not the acceptance of a proposal. It was just a request for proposals. So if we consider this, all we're considering is putting out a request for proposals. And I see no harm in reconsidering whether we put out a request for proposals. We then would have, if a proposal and a bid would come back to us, we would then have to either accept the proposal or reject the proposal.
Is that true, or did we authorize, I thought we authorized the expenditure of the funds?
Well, there's a reference in the staff report to what we anticipate the amount would be. You'll ultimately adopt or accept the final amount once we get the bids, but obviously that it's implied in that staff report that it's going to be up to a certain amount. We're hoping that it's less.
Right.
So it is just a request for proposals.
But all it is now is a request for reconsideration.
Well, yeah, we're going to, okay. Do you have anything to say, Lamar?
I just thought that when we discussed the item at that meeting that we would be acting to take action, and we decided not to take any action. And I thought, is there any information since that time that compels you to otherwise, some new information that we didn't have at the meeting that you think should be considered at this point?
I've already said, I think that it's essential that we deal with the Parks and Recreation Master Plan update. I said it at the other meeting. I voted.
You wanted to this is to reconsider.
Exactly.
So Lamar says, is there anything that made you change your mind when you voted to take no action?
Not a thing. Do I have the right to request reconsideration?
Yes, you do, and it doesn't
Okay,
matter.
and I've done
There's
that.
yeah.
And there's been a motion.
Okay.
How much more
Do
would
you
you
want
like
to say,
to talk about?
this isn't a motion like any other that we have full discussion of. Okay, Lamar, yeah, did you want to say anything else?
I just felt that we had an item on the agenda. No information has surfaced since that time. If there were information since then that we should have taken into account that were not presented to the council, then I think that would be grounds to open the item up again. But I feel confident that I had the information at the time to cast my vote, and I did that. And unless someone has anything else that has surfaced or has been passed on to other council members but not me, I'd love to hear that.
Let me respond. I'll be very
Sure.
clear
No,
and
you have a right
specific.
to have full discussion.
Earlier this evening, we talked about an item which was, I believe it had to do with employee assistance program. One of the council members asked that that item, as a courtesy, be held over, and we agreed with that. I voted to hold that over as a courtesy to a colleague. 2 meetings ago, we had an item that we were stalemated on. Two of us believed that we should proceed, two believed that we should not. I asked that we hold that item over until December 12th so that we would have a full council to consider it. It was and that motion was defeated. Then the motion that we were voting on was, should we take action on that item? And the motion was, we should not take action on that item that night. And in fact, that, I believe, was the
Just that
motion.
we shouldn't take, no, the
Well-
motion was just we shouldn't take action. That's a
Okay.
very big distinction.
And having voted on that motion in the affirmative, I now have the right to request reconsideration by the full council.
Right.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Right, and
Yeah.
anyone can, as long as they
Yes.
voted in the affirmative, anyone can ask for reconsideration without any.
Don has the right to ask for reconsideration. I'd like to give my view about this now. This was an issue on whether to spend up to $75,000 on a study of recreation facility needs. Lamar and I felt that this was not necessary, this study, and that it was too expensive. Basically, the motion to do so failed. The motion to take no action was a very intentional motion to kill the expenditure, this $75,000, and we did it, and it didn't pass. Now, I just have some procedural problems here that if someone's on vacation, I mean, we asked Ruth before she left, I was really quite saying, if there's anything on here you want us not to hear while you're on vacation, feel free to ask. And in fact, we're going to have a very busy schedule in January because we did put a couple items over, and I think we were very nice about that. Now, if when someone takes a 2 or 3 week vacation on the
wasn't a
council,
vacation.
yeah, it was, Ruth. It was a vacation. If someone takes a 2 or 3 week vacation when they're on the council, and because of that, any time we don't like the outcome of a vote because that person was on vacation, that we have the item again, then you're basically saying we shouldn't have council meetings when somebody takes a 2 or 3 week vacation, and we can't function that way. So I would say for procedural meetings, we give people the opportunity to ask if items of a special importance be put over when they can hear it. But if an item loses because they're away, that we should accept that. Otherwise, we'll have to rehear an awful lot of items over the years. And it means if somebody's absent, we wonder why we're spending so much time talking about an issue. If it'll just be turned down and they lose.
2 votes should deny a project?
Well, of course it should, Don. It needs 3 votes to pass. There were
Right.
4 people present. It failed. That's what it means to take a vote when somebody's on vacation. So, that's just my view. I thought I'd express it. I think it would be appropriate to let issues lie if the only reason.
Well, I asked as a courtesy before, and you didn't allow that, so now I'm asking for reconsideration.
Oh, no, we're going to call the vote. Okay.
I'm
Any
going to
more
vote. I'm going to
comments?
vote in favor of reconsideration and I think we got lost, and I think it became very clear to me after that meeting that all we were doing was asking to submit a request for proposals. We weren't asking to spend $75,000, but we spent the whole night debating whether we were going to spend $75,000 when in reality we were only going to put out a request for proposals. That's it.
Well, Steve, I have never heard I've never seen in the 6.5 years I've been on the council us vote down a request for proposal when it came in within budget. It's
But
never
we did.
happened.
We did. That night we voted down a request
No, I'm
for
saying
proposals.
I've never seen us vote after. You're saying it's just a request for proposals. I'm saying
Right.
no, it's not.
No,
it's
that's what it
voting
was.
to spend that $75,000
No, there was
because
no
we've never once turned down the item when it comes back on consent.
Yeah, but
once
there
that
was no
initial,
expenditures of fund that night. There was only
okay.
staff time to put forward a request for proposals.
I think this
That's what
isn't
it
straight.
was.
You're not being straightforward about this.
No,
the point I'm
that's
making,
what the item was.
Steve, the point I'm making is that we always, once we make the vote for the request for proposal, if it comes in under the budget stated, it always goes through in the consent calendar. It's always a done deal. So I've never seen us turn one down. So it's a lot more than just a request for proposal. It's
You still
essentially,
have to vote on it.
it's essentially an approval of that $75,000 expenditure.
Well, I'm going to vote for reconsideration because I think it's worth putting out a request for proposals, and then we can
Sure.
debate whether we accept a bid or not.
Okay.